Hello, and welcome to another Bleckmann Beyond Thread podcast. I am your host, Erik Janssen Steenberg, and together we will be taking the next deep dive into the trends, the developments in fashion and lifestyle logistics. Today we will be talking about a project which Bleckmann has carried out together with the team of Karl Lagerfeld. And for that we have two experts in the room today. Thank you for being here, guys. It's on one hand Caroline from Karl Lagerfeld.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely, it's definitely our pleasure. And the other guest is our very own Hans Robben, director of the Bleckmann Renewal Workshop.
Nice to be here, Eric.
Thank you guys for being here, absolutely. And today we will be covering circularity in the operations for Karl Lagerfeld. So for that purpose, Hans, can you perhaps briefly introduce yourself and outline the project which we have carried out successfully with the team of Caroline?
Well, so I'm Hans, within Bleckmann Program Manager for the Renewal Workshop. And with the Renewal Workshop, we take care of all the operational aspects of renewing fashion items and preparing them for a second life, a third life, and so on, basically to be able to keep them in a continuous use.
Yeah.
And for Karl specifically, we did a pilot on repairing items that were damaged and then also preparing them for a sale in their physical store in the Netherlands.
Right. And to be able to do that, what were the specific process steps in those operations, in renewal, repair, etc., that allowed us to be so successful?
I think, first of all, before we dive into the operations, it was a question of capturing the question or the requirement of Karl very well, because each brand has a different requirement, wants to do things a little bit differently. So it's not just a standard process that we apply. But once we got the request well, once we understood well what Karl wanted to do, in our operational process, it was a combination of a quality control, so looking at each item to see where it is damaged, what is the damage, can we repair it, etc. And after that, also then effectively doing the repair and doing the cleaning of the item to bring it back to the best quality possible, and preparing it for resale by providing it with a specific hang tag that highlighted the fact that it was part of a separate collection.
Yeah. And working with you on identifying the right approach was, of course, Madame Caroline Allard. Sorry, I hope I pronounced correctly.
Perfect.
The environmental and sustainability manager at Karl Lagerfeld. Can you please do me the same favor? Briefly introduce yourself and what you saw as your role in the project.
With pleasure. Well, I'm the sustainability manager for the brand. I'm in charge of environmental topic as well as supporting the circular business model transition.
Yes.
At the brand, we always aim to be the best version of ourselves in our sustainability journey. And we have been working with Bleckmann for several years.
Yeah.
On the warehousing and logistic front, they have been our partner globally, and they still are. And when we have been informed that they have acquired the Renewal Workshop, we saw that as an amazing opportunity to support further our agenda in regards of circular business model. And we have worked closely to develop a repair pilot that was aiming to rescue damaged inventory in our warehouse, operated by Bleckmann here in the Netherlands, to rescue those items and to bring them back to their original state and have them distributed under the name the Repair Atelier, in echo of the beautiful craftsmanship also that the team did, and have it distributed in our store in Netherlands. So that has been basically a very close relationship that we had with the team from A to Z on this project.
Okay, thank you for that. And Hans, how do you see that what you and the team did help Karl Lagerfeld adopt the circular fashion practices?
Well, I think at first it was a question of really understanding the question that Karl had. What was their requirement? What was the goal with this specific
Their
collection?
specific need.
Exactly, because it's always a bit different from brand to brand. So we have to understand very well what their concrete question is, and then it was applying this question and seeing how can we adapt our process so that it fits that specific question. And in the process, one of the first steps that we did, which is a standard step, is a quality control of each damaged item coming in to know exactly where is it damaged, where is it dirty, can we repair it back to new state or can't we? After which then, of course, we do the actual repair, we do the actual cleaning, and we also prepare it for resale by applying a specific hang tag that highlights the fact that it is part of this Repair Atelier collection of Karl.
Right. And what I love hearing is the fact that you have been instrumental and not so much following the lead of the asking brand, so to speak.
Yeah, instrumental in the sense that, of course, on the operational part, we played the crucial role, let's say, but it's also very much understanding the question of the brand and listening to their requirements, because also for us, it's very much learning from the different brands that we are working with to see what is important to them and what do we need to change in our approach to become more relevant in the circularity programs of brands.
And were we then also part of the process to determine which products would be part of that pilot?
I think the selection of the product itself that came into the process was mainly done by Karl. We played the role as of the moment that we did the quality control on each item to see what can be resold and what can't be resold.
Right. So when we look at the very successful outcome of this pilot, of this project, Caroline, what do you see as distinct signals towards other brands in the market that are looking to come to become more experienced in circular operations?
Well, I think the signal is actually that it is doable.
A very important signal.
As simply as that, through collaboration and partnership. It's not something, it's much more challenging to do it on your own, and to have an expert team on your side make it something that for us was seamless and indeed a success. There is one thing that Karl used to say a lot that has become our mantra as a brand, which is embrace the present and reinvent the future.
Yes.
And I think it's exactly what we were doing here with this collaboration. Circular business models are rather new. That was a first for us.
Yeah.
It's important to remain curious and agile and evaluate what can be done as a brand and as a company and organization, and to have one of your strategic partner supporting it that in that is precious.
Yeah. So when we tap into that mantra of Mr. Lagerfeld himself, so making sure that other brands don't need to reinvent the same wheel over and over again, what would be the best practices that you would be keen on sharing with them to make sure that they kind of take off where we stop?
Well, yes, of course. The first one, obviously, is to make sure that you have a partner that can deliver the quality that you aim to have as a brand. And of course, we're in very good hands with the Hans team for that. But beyond the craftsmanship and the know-how on how to repair damaged goods, for us, we saw the marketing approach as well as the operation approach equally important. The marketing one, because for such projects, you're managing in your range of in your assortment, mostly single references units, meaning one item in one size and one colorway, from multiple seasons, menswear, women's wear. So a diversity that is not the same approach that you have in your normal seasonal assortment that is thought through as a whole. Yeah. Therefore, it requires a tailor-made strategy to support that launch, which is why we have created the Repair Atelier. And under that umbrella, created the whole marketing experience for the end consumer as well, to identify that this was a different capsule, sort of. So it was branded differently in our store. The product was branded as well with the hang tag that was mentioned by Hans. It had also for the launch specific content to explain where the repair was made and show the craftsmanship of the team. We even came as well to film it and document that approach. So that is one, because you also need to engage with your customer in that perspective, which is rather, as I mentioned, a new one. But the operational aspect is equally important. You're managing a set of single unit and references. You don't want to have hiccups in the integration in your system. So having a partner that has the same language in terms of operation is essential. You can have intervention to manage all these single references, which is why for us, having the renewal workshop as part of Bleckmann was an amazing opportunity, ideal scenario.
Yeah. And when we then look at all the developments in the sector, in logistics, but also in the fashion market, so consumer companies like yourself, companies like Bleckmann, but also the government. We see a huge impact of new legislation coming, but we also see a push towards greener fashion coming from the consumer. Then how do you see that circularity is going to play a role in redefining the fashion of the future?
Yeah, you're completely correct, Eric, on that point. There is a transition that is taking place, and circularity has an impact on the future is impacting the industry for sure.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, simply by the fact that if you look at, from the sustainability aspect, beyond the industry of the fashion industry, if you look all industry taken into consideration, if we were to double circularity globally, we would be in line with the Paris Agreement. Our societies would be in line with the Paris Agreement.
Correct.
So it's a huge enabler to minimize your footprint as a brand and as an organization. So there is, thanks to that, or because of that, there is a lot of regulation coming from the European Commission.
Yes.
And this is because if you look from a sustainability standpoint, circularity, if we take into consideration all sectors and industries, if we were to double circularity globally, we would be aligned with the Paris Agreement.
Correct.
So it's a huge enabler for us as a brand to also minimize our environmental impact. And this is the reason, that enabler is the reason why the European Commission is also developing so many regulations to support that transition. I have in mind, of course, the Circularity Directive, but it's also infused in many other regulation and directives coming our way. You have the ESPR one with eco-design.
Correct.
Even CSRD in its own way is supporting that transition. And for us as a company and as a brand, we accept the challenge that this regulation can bring by the fact that they also have different lead times and implementation in different ways based on member states. But we see it more as an opportunity to lean on and to bring forward our strategy to minimize our impact through circularity. And that's also opened for us another door, which is making sure that we open, I mentioned it earlier, our curiosity and our creativity. Circularity is a different approach. It can also be a different approach to develop your product or to even manage your operation and your business, as the example of the pilot that we did, the Repair Atelier. And for us, that ultimately is an opportunity to connect in a different way with our customers as well. There is an appetite. We mentioned it earlier. The market is evolving very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Brands are... we as a brand wants to remain also agile on that. But it's also an opportunity for us as a brand to connect further with our end consumer. We mentioned it earlier. The demand is growing. So for us, we also want to connect with them under that aspect.
Yeah. So allow me to conclude that the brands are actually, well, nearing the point of no return. They need to get involved. They need to want to be part of the solution because the demand is changing, legislation is changing, and the world as a whole is requesting that from them. Do you agree?
Yes, brands definitely play a role here, and but it's beyond brands; it's a whole sector.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's of course the brands are an important actor, but I think the example that we are discussing today is a good example on the fact that it's actually beyond simply the brand.
Yes.
It's a industry transition and shift that needs to take place. That we can't do on our own.
No, and we should not have to do it on our own, but we also should not be waiting for the other party to reach out the hand. Yeah, so maybe our main message is make sure that you are the one reaching out to the other partner and simply start similar projects, similar activities to becoming part of the solution and not the problem. So thank you very much for your very valuable insights, Hans, Caroline.
Thank you.
I'm more than certain that there are many listeners that still have a lot of questions, hopefully questions about how they can start. And how can these people reach out to the two of you if they have questions or if they want to simply discuss?
Well, on our side, for Karl Lagerfeld, if there is any question, actually sustainability or other topics, we have an email address that is info@karl.com that everybody can use, and it will take its way through the right person.
Yes.
But do not hesitate. Please share your thoughts and questions. We are more than happy to answer them.
Parfait.
Yeah, likewise. If brands have questions on what we can do for them, then please reach out through our website and leave a message, and we will definitely contact them again.
Well, thanks again for being here today, guys. And I'm more than certain that many companies and people will reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for being with us today. This was another very insightful Beyond Thread podcast. Make sure to subscribe to them so that you're part of the next one and follow us on socials. Thank you very much. See you soon.